Has you ever felt like there's this invisible stopwatch ticking away on your dreams,
Hmm.
dictating when you're supposed to do things,
Yeah.
or worse, when it's just too late?
Yeah, that feeling, that pressure.
Exactly, that internal pressure, that strict timeline. That's what we're calling the stopwatch mentality today.
Mm-hmm.
And we're diving deep into a really remarkable true story. It's about Michael Turner,
Mm-hmm.
a guy who, at 52, gets laid off,
Yeah.
feels totally defeated.
Just completely washed up, right?
Right. Only to then build $1 million business from like a passion he'd given up on years ago.
It's an incredible story, and this deep dive, it's based on a really compelling account from Never Too Late, Success After 50, gives you a very detailed look at Michael's journey.
Okay.
So our mission here is really to unpack how he just completely defied that whole too late idea
Yeah.
and explore what actually sparked his transformation, the surprising catalysts, and pinpoint those crucial moments where he discovered what he could really do, even when he thought, wow, that his chances were long gone.
So Michael really lived with this stopwatch thing pretty intensely, didn't he? This deep-seated belief
Oh, absolutely.
that life has this strict schedule, degree by 25, career locked in by 30, house and family by 40.
Yep, the standard script.
And if you hadn't made it by 50, well, tough luck. Your chances were just gone. He really got into that, didn't he?
He totally did. And what's interesting is it wasn't like his own original thought. It was a story he'd been told, his whole life.
Right.
And for a long time, he just accepted it. I mean, for nearly 30 years, Michael worked in this small auto parts warehouse in Ohio,
Doing what exactly?
unloading shipments, stocking shelves,
Mm-hmm.
repetitive work. It was steady, sure, paid the bills, basic needs covered.
Nothing more.
Never enough to really save or pursue any real dreams.
And you could just picture him, right? 52, maybe lying awake at night,
Yeah.
wondering what happened to that kid who loved building model airplanes,
Yeah.
sketching little gadget designs.
You felt like that part of him, the creative part, was just long gone, buried.
So he's stuck in this rut, thinking his time's up. And then, bam, the catalyst hits. Unexpectedly.
Oh, yeah. A really pivotal moment. He's 52. Supervisor calls him into this little cramped office,
Oh,
hands him a pink slip, says position's gone, downsizing.
wow. Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah.
And the reality was just immediate, brutal. 52 years old, no college degree, no savings, and like 0 job prospects lined up.
Oh, man. The emotional fallout must have been just devastating.
Yeah. He walks out into the cold November air, just stunned.
Mm-hmm.
That night, the severance check is sitting on his kitchen table. He said it felt like an accusation.
An accusation.
Wow. Humiliated, useless, like the world had totally moved on without him.
And the job search.
Yeah, that didn't go well either.
Not at all. For weeks, he applied for dozens of jobs, dressed up in his only suit,
Trying his best.
and just faced, polite pity from younger managers. Some didn't even bother calling back.
That's right. Yeah. Depression started setting in, understandably. Friends were actually telling him, Mike, maybe look into early retirement, government assistance.
Just give up, essentially.
Pretty much. But here's the crucial bit. Something inside him just rebelled, refused to give up.
Mhm.
He couldn't quite explain it, but he felt like he still had something to give, even if he had no idea what.
That little spark.
That inner rebellion, yeah, that refusal to just accept defeat, that was absolutely critical.
And that feeling, that restlessness,
Mhm.
it actually led him somewhere unexpected, right? The attic.
Exactly. He wasn't even feeling hopeful, really, just needed to do something.
Right.
So he starts cleaning out the attic.
Just busy work.
Yeah. And then he finds it, this dusty old folder, sketches inside from when he was in his 20s.
No way. What were they?
Blueprints, kind of, for an ergonomic wrench, a collapsible tool chest, even a hands-free flashlight. Ideas he'd had years ago.
Wow. Buried treasure.
He said there was this unexpected surge of emotion holding those faded papers, like finding pieces of his younger self, the one he thought was gone forever.
That must have been intense.
Totally. That night, couldn't sleep, sat at his kitchen table, sketches spread out, and for the first time in years, he actually started to imagine again.
Letting himself dream a little.
Yeah. And he asked himself this really crucial question. What if? What if I stopped believing it was too late?
Ah, the big question.
The game changer.
So this moment of clarity, it leads to a pretty bold move, right? Like immediately.
Oh, yeah. The very next morning, drives to the hardware store, spends nearly half his severance check on tools and materials.
Whoa, okay. That's a leap.
He said it felt reckless, but also exhilarating, cleared space in his garage, and just started building the prototype of that ergonomic wrench
From the sketch.
from the sketch. And his hands, calloused from decades of warehouse work, they just moved. Surprising skill, muscle memory kicking in.
That's amazing. Like riding a bike almost.
Kind of. He refined that first clumsy version, hour after hour, day after day.
Tinkering away.
And when he finally held a working model, he felt this rush of pride, something no paycheck had ever given him.
That feeling of creation, it's powerful.
It really is. It speaks to something deep in us, that drive to make things, to innovate.
Absolutely. And then came the first little bit of validation, right? From outside. His neighbor.
Yeah, his neighbor, Dave, a mechanic.
Yeah.
Dave spots the wrench one day, asks about it.
And Michael explains it.
Yep. Explains the design, the curved handle, how it reduces wrist strain, the adjustable head, making it versatile. Dave's intrigued, asks to borrow it.
Okay, the first test run.
Exactly. A week later, Dave brings it back, big grin on his face, calls it incredible.
Wow.
And then he asks, Mike, have you ever thought about selling these?
And here comes that old stopwatch mentality again, right?
Right on cue. Michael just laughs it off, says something like, come on, Dave, I'm 52. Who's going to buy tools from some laid-off warehouse guy?
Oh, that self-doubt is strong.
But Dave, bless him, just cuts right through it, shakes his head. Doesn't matter how old you are, he says. This is good work.
Simple. Direct. Powerful.
Totally. And that simple statement, it just hung in the air. It allowed Michael to actually wonder for the first time, okay, what if Dave's right?
And he acted on it.
He did. He took the plunge, built a few more prototypes, and then posted them on an online marketplace, one for handmade tools.
Okay, putting himself out there. What happened?
He was completely astonished. Within a week, 3 orders,
Really?
then 5 more the next week, then 10. It just started rolling.
Wow. So people saw the value immediately.
Seems like it. And he was just learning everything on the fly, but with this incredible dedication,
Like what?
reinvesting every single dollar back into materials, packaging, watching YouTube videos on marketing, teaching himself product photography with his phone.
Wow. DIY everything.
Totally. Even learned basic HTML to build a simple website. He said he'd fall asleep each night, just exhausted but fulfilled.
That's the difference, isn't it? Exhausted but fulfilled versus just exhausted.
Exactly. That intense commitment you see when someone truly believes in what they're building.
And that commitment, that dedication, it clearly paid off. Big time.
Oh, absolutely. Over the next 6 months or so, word just spread like wildfire. Mechanics, DIY folks,
They loved it.
loved it. Praised the design, the durability. He started getting bulk orders from small hardware shops.
Okay, now we're talking scaling up. But I imagine it wasn't all smooth sailing. That never happens.
No, you're right. Absolutely not. There were definitely setbacks, growing pains.
Like what kind of things?
Well, one shipment got damaged in transit. Another time, a customer complained delivery was delayed. He felt completely overwhelmed sometimes trying to run it all himself.
Yeah, the logistics nightmare.
But he just refused to quit. Kept telling himself, I've waited too long to give up now. That determination, just a constant thread.
Holding on to that initial spark.
Definitely. And then the email, the one that changed everything.
Ah, the big break.
You could say that. One evening, packing boxes late, sees a message pop up from a large industrial supply company.
Okay.
They wanted to discuss licensing his wrench design.
Licensing. Wow. That's huge.
Huge. He just stared at the screen, couldn't believe it, read it like 3 times before it actually sank in.
I bet. What about that imposter syndrome, though? Did that kick back in?
Oh, massively. Right before the meeting. Driving there, hands trembling on the wheel.
Understandable.
Afraid they'd see through him. Realize he was just a laid-off warehouse worker with no formal training.
That old narrative again.
But then he walks into this glass-walled conference room, starts explaining his design,
Yeah.
and something just shifted profoundly. He's talking about ergonomics, reducing strain injuries, the mechanics of leverage.
Getting into his element.
Exactly. And as he's speaking, he has this incredible realization. He wasn't an imposter.
He knew his stuff.
He knew his stuff. He was an inventor.
Wow, what a moment. Finding your identity right there, explaining your passion.
Truly transformative. And the payoff was immediate. They signed a licensing agreement that day.
Incredible.
And the royalties. Eventually, they exceeded everything he'd earned in 30 years at the warehouse.
30 years. That's just life-changing. Doesn't even cover it.
Not even close. And the impact didn't stop there.
What else happened?
Well, he expanded his tool line, hired a small team, finally got some help.
Good for him.
And he started giving talks, community centers, that kind of thing, about reinventing your life after 50, sharing his story.
Paying it forward.
Yeah. And his story got featured in the local newspaper. Headline was something like, "Never too late. Man builds $1 million business after layoff at 52."
That must have felt amazing.
Can you imagine? People started recognizing him at the grocery store, stopping him.
Saying what?
Telling him his story inspired them,
Yeah.
that it made them think about their own long-forgotten dreams.
Wow. That ripple effect.
It's a powerful, and think about that full circle moment. Michael, sitting in the same kitchen where he'd once cried over that severance check,
Yeah.
just feeling this overwhelming gratitude, realizing that losing his job, as awful as it was, it actually gave him the chance he never would have taken otherwise.
The chance to find out what he was really capable of. Exactly. So if we kind of zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture. Michael's journey, it just hammers home this incredible lesson, doesn't it?
It really does. That you are never too old, never too late, and, never too far gone to become what you were meant to be.
That stopwatch he believed in for so long.
It was a lie, just a story.
Life doesn't run on some fixed schedule. Dreams don't just expire when you hit a certain age.
Not at all. Sometimes the best chapters, they start when you finally stop asking, am I too late?
You just start.
You just start.
So maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. What dormant dreams might be waiting for your own just start moment?